September the 11th, 2019. As you're looking at a wide infrared image of the Atlantic Ocean, including the Gulf of Mexico itself, and I want to look at a couple things here that may have a lot to do with the steering factors of the storm we see in the Bahamas. That's going to be the first one that we have to keep an eye on. Now, this is the area, and it's rather large. The rotation is down in the southern part where you see the large red thunderstorms. And it's predicted to move pretty much in that direction. You've got a wave here that's going to be the most dangerous, it looks like, of the three before it's said and done. This is just southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. Then you have one in the central Atlantic. Again, if you look at the models, they're showing the storm that's in the southern Bahamas moving very close to the tip of Florida. Could come ashore there. Definitely, even the model showing it going into the Gulf of Mexico itself will be inside the Florida Keys. But there's a high pressure system setting right here. It's been real dry weather in Mississippi and Alabama and Georgia. And you can see in that rotation, that is clockwise. And it's been dry, and that is a major steering factor. And if you look at the curve of this high pressure system right there, you see how it's a large area, and it's moving clockwise, not the direction of the hurricanes. And some of our models will show this high pressure system shift. We'll see that the further to the east that it moves, or to the right, and the timing of the move will determine it will have a lot to determine the path of the storm that's in the Bahamas. And if it moves further west, that red air will come into more play. And again, some of the models are reflecting that already. And this line, again, is being controlled, or this surface level wind and wave action, by the high pressure system over the south. That will, again, keep the storm traveling further south. So watch out in the Keys and in South Florida. They're talking about it could be a tropical depression by this weekend as it's near that area. Move to closer imaging as far as our satellites. Now, you can see the Florida Peninsula in the top left corner, and we are dealing with the southern or southeastern Bahamas at this point. This is infrared, and you can see in these later images with the heat of the day that your steering currents on the lower level are in the white and gray clouds. That's your surface level. That's also, if you'll watch very closely, where your rotation is. The redder and blacker the top of these clouds are, the stronger they are. And you can see the rotation under them, guys. Check that out. And with that steering current pushing as hard as it is to the west and to the south, very likely this thing will pass very close to the Keys. Now, 60% chance of development now. It's already moved to a 40% chance in 2 days. With a 60% chance, it says conditions are forecast to become more favorable for development late this week, and a tropical depression could form near the northwestern Bahamas or South Florida as early as Friday. And further development over the weekend is likely in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. And guys, it looks like it could be a problem. Disturbance number 2 is in the center. About 3 days ago, I did a video when disturbance number 3 was coming off the African coast, and I said it was moving fast enough to catch up with 2. That's what they're saying here. If you look at 3, which is a 30% chance, it says the tropical wave will near the Cabo Verde Islands is forecast to move quickly westward during the next several days. Environmental conditions may become more favorable for development as the system approaches the Lesser Antilles. Again, overcoming this number 2 system. It's forecast to track right into this area about the time that the system moving across the Florida Straits will be inland. There's also another storm coming off of Africa. It's not named yet, but they will name it, or they will number it. Anyway, this is what we're going to be dealing with, guys. 3 in a row. Now, here are the latest models on the storm in the southern Bahamas. A lot hasn't changed. You got 2 models crossing near the Pensacola area. You've got one coming up along the Alabama and Mississippi border. 2 more that's coming up into the panhandle. But all of this is going to be controlled by the location of this high pressure area. As it sits right now, this area, if it didn't move, it would come up along and go along central Mississippi and up the Mississippi River, as some of the earlier models indicated. But these high pressure systems, they will set in a location for a while, and then it will tend to drift, especially this time of the year. We're still in the peak. This is just the September 11th. Now notice that every model except one comes either within Key West, between Key West and Miami, or just north of Miami. So if this thing strengthens, and in this area it's supposed to be at least a tropical depression, then watch out in the islands, guys. It could be a tropical storm. We've seen it, as we saw in Dorian, quickly develop much stronger than they thought because of the backloaded system and the heat. And Dorian did not have an effect on depleting the heat in the Gulf of Mexico at all. Now here's your high pressure system. This is a Canadian model. We'll play it through, and that's going to control where this storm comes in. Right now they're kind of looking at the center blue line that I drew there that goes along the Mississippi River at this time. There's our storm approaching. They're showing the high move over into the Atlantic. We saw that in the orange, and allowed the Caribbean system to come up across the Florida Panhandle. That is reminiscent of Michael. I'm not saying it's going to be that strong, but notice we have 3 storms, one in the Caribbean that's right off the south tip of Florida by September 21st. If you look at your timestamp at the bottom, what's happening is it's going to be like Florida. You're going to be in the batter's cage with rapid fire coming at you. Some are predicted to go north into the Atlantic. We'll have to watch it. Here is going to be the problem. This is temperatures. Notice the orange stream that's coming up the east coast of Florida, guys. That represents the Gulf Stream itself, and it's really is not doing a large circulation pattern inside of the Gulf at this time. But look at the difference in coloration from yellow and orange into your red. It's much warmer in the Gulf, except for Barry early in the season, has not had much heat release at all. That's one of the reasons they're having algae problems and problems with the flooding of the fresh water coming in and killing oysters and shrimp in the northern Gulf itself. But these temperatures, again, have not been released. Look at it. You can tell the difference in it. So, guys, we're going to have to keep an eye on it. Florida, do not let your eyes off this Invest 95, neither you guys in the Bahamas. But by the time it gets into the Gulf of Mexico, I look for it to be strengthening. That's just what they do when they get into that warmer water, guys. We're watching it. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.